Tonight on West Dakota Fox News at 9, a dramatic scene caught on camera as a 5-year-old gets trapped dangling off a ski lift. Plus, the calm after the storm. We'll show you what the state is doing to help dig out. But first, braving the blizzard. We'll show you the great lengths two parents had to endure for this.
Good evening, I'm Molly Martinez. The region was just hit with a 1-2 punch of heavy snowfall, which limited travel access across the state. But that didn't matter much to one baby who decided to celebrate his birthday in the middle of a blizzard. Cynthia McLaughlin has the story.
The Johnsons took their neighbor's car early Monday morning and drove to the nearest hospital that could deliver a baby, which was all the way in Bismarck. The first-time mother says her dad jokes that while most babies are delivered by a stork, this one was delivered by a snow goose.
Him's looking like he's getting hungry.
It's all peace and quiet now, but less than 48 hours ago, the Johnsons were scrambling.
They really got to love me and Alexander to really, 12 o'clock in the morning and drive long ways to go sit in a hospital while I am giving birth.
Holly says her dad was quiet, focusing on the roads, but in the back seat.
So I'm like, can y'all hurry? Can y'all hurry, please? I'm over here grabbing the doors. I'm like, oh. I was angry, but I was trying to be nice. He's great. He's the best baby.
Now the Johnsons will have an additional 5-pound, 15 ounces passenger on their drive back Wednesday. Now, Alexander isn't the only blizzard baby. Sanford Health says the Bismarck Hospital delivered 6 babies during the 24-hour storm. Reporting in downtown Bismarck, West Dakota Fox News at 9, I'm Cynthia McLaughlin.
Let's throw it over now to another boy about a blizzard, meteorologist Henry Blake.
Hey, thank you. Thankfully, the blizzard is over.
As you just said, when all was said and done, there were 8.5 inches of snow on the ground here in Bismarck. While most major arteries in the city have been plowed, neighborhoods are a different story. But Public Works says they're on it. Daniela Hurtado has more.
Molly, I'm just doing my part here to help clean up this snow mess, kind of how the city has the snow plows, except obviously on a smaller scale. I actually talked to Bismarck Public Works today, and they tell me that they have more than a dozen plows out working on the streets. During the early morning hours and overnight, plows have been clearing out roads.
We're out there to make the road safe. Just give us a little time, and if you can, remove your cars off the streets so we can clear the streets a lot faster.
He says plows went through the city twice to remove snow from emergency routes and school areas.
Whenever this weather shows up like this, we're all on call, and we go around the clock, 2 12-hour shifts.
Glass says they've had 2 plow accidents but no injuries during this storm.
Lit into a parked car. It's so icy on the streets that, I don't know if you've seen that video of that truck yesterday. Well, that's what happened with the motor grader. Slid into a car.
Glass says they're working hard to finish the cleanup. Molly, as you can see behind me, Broadway has been plowed, and as you saw that car, it's driving very, very well on these roads, which is completely night and day from yesterday. Bismarck Public Works does tell me that the roadways, all that snow that came from the roadways and pushed to the sidewalks, will be removed on Thursday from downtown. Until then, we want to remind you guys to please walk safely and drive safely on these roads and sidewalks. Reporting from downtown Bismarck for West Dakota Fox News at 9, I'm Daniela Hurtado.
The Highway Patrol says a 35-year-old Fargo man was killed after he rear-ended a snowplow on I-29 this morning. According to reports, the snowplow was stopped partially in the left lane to provide lighting for a state trooper investigating a different accident. Both vehicles had their emergency lights flashing. The driver struck the rear end of the plow and later died. Slowing down during snowstorms could be a matter of life and death, but there are some things the weather can do to your car even before you get into the driver's seat. To help prevent problems, Tires Plus store manager Kevin Weber says to keep up the maintenance on your car.
You want to use a snow brush, clean all the snow off your vehicles, get it off your windshields, and then go ahead and use your wipers. Keep all your windows clean so your visibility is there. Keep plenty of gas in your vehicle so you don't get stranded.
Salt used to melt ice off the roadways cause erosion on your vehicle. Weber says that after driving through the salted roads, keep your car clean by taking it through the car wash. Well, Dickinson is digging out of the snow like the rest of the state. Crews began clearing roads and parking lots around 3 this morning. Dickinson only got 5 inches of snow, but heavy winds built up drifts feet high in some places. Roads were also covered in snow much of the morning, which delayed cleanup.
The winds do preclude us from going into residential areas until the winds die down to something more reasonable, 10 miles an hour, maybe 15. Then we'll start doing residential areas as well.
Crews were able to get into those neighborhoods. Kessel says they're trying to get the city ready for trash pickup tomorrow. Well, before the first flakes fell, people were busy stocking up on the essentials. Last night, Marketplace Foods in Minot closed early at 6 p.m. One store manager says Marketplace was flooded with prepared shoppers. He says that eggs, milk, bread, and meat were among the most popular items.
We started seeing a real strong increase in traffic on Friday, peaked on Saturday, and then Sunday was good as well.
Hoppel says that in the event of another storm, try your best to get your shopping done in the days leading up to the storm. In legal news, a Williston man faces several charges after an aggravated assault last night. Police say Timothy Wayne Washington Jr. grabbed a woman around the throat during an argument, cutting off her airway. When police arrived on scene, they say they smelled marijuana. Washington was found to be under the influence. Police also found drug paraphernalia. A student at Oak Grove Lutheran High School in Fargo is expelled after a video recording device was found in the girls' dressing room. The school sent a letter to parents telling them about the incident and saying counseling services will be provided to the 31 girls impacted. Someone found the device during a play performance Thursday night, and the school turned the video over to police. Well, the city of Mandan could soon have some new rules relating to off-road vehicles. Megan Hoffman is here to tell us about the possible changes. Megan?
Mandan has had an ordinance for four-wheelers, snowmobiles, and other types of off-highway vehicles for a while now, but are looking to revise and clarify the rules for city streets. According to Deputy Police Chief Jason Beer, the previous law was a little hard to understand. Previously, there hadn't been any mention of golf carts on streets, and under the new ordinance, they're not allowed at all. Class 3 off-highway vehicles, like a side-by-side, Ranger, or Razor, are allowed if they weigh less than 8,000 pounds, have 4 or more tires or are on tracks, have a seat, have a steering wheel, and are registered by the state.
As long as they have certain equipment, they're licensed, they're insured, they have eligible drivers, they're now going to be allowed on city streets with this ordinance.
Snowmobiles can be used for emergency travel or in a prearranged time period. Tonight was the first reading of the ordinance. A second reading will be held at the next City Commission meeting in 2 weeks.
Thanks, Megan. If you're building a new home in Mandan, you could be eligible for a tax exemption. The City Commission approved a measure allowing for new homes, condos, and townhomes to be exempt from taxes up to $75,000 of the value of the new building. For construction ending in 2018, the exemption applies to 2019 and 2020, and for any new homes done in 2019, the credit could be applied in 2020. A former Trump campaign advisor has a long, drawn-out meltdown on network TV, all in the face of a looming deposition by Special Prosecutor Robert Mueller. Reporter Doug Luzader has been following this bizarre saga.
A former Trump aide, Sam Nunberg, spoke to just about anyone who would listen to him, thumbing his nose essentially at special counsel Robert Mueller, saying that there may be evidence of Trump campaign collusion. But his story continued to change. For the media, the defiance of former Trump campaign aide Sam Nunberg was like catnip.
And I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm the first person to go out here and say I'm not cooperating, because it's absolutely ridiculous what they want from me.
He was subpoenaed by special counsel Robert Mueller and at least initially said no, he wouldn't play along, an extraordinary move. And he didn't stop there.
Do you think that they have something on the president?
I think they may.
What?
I think that he may have done something during the election, but I don't know that.
It was speculation that the White House wouldn't touch.
Look, I'm not going to weigh into somebody that doesn't work at the White House. I can tell you from our perspective, we are fully cooperating with the Office of the Special Counsel.
Sarah should shut up.
Nunberg was on the warpath. One news anchor on CNN would even question whether he had been drinking. And his story would later change after he told the Associated Press that he may wind up cooperating after all. perhaps sparing himself some time in jail.
If he does not appear in front of the grand jury and cooperate, Mr. Mueller will have him put in jail until he purges that contempt or the grand jury session is over.
And that's the thing about these special prosecutors. They bring a lot of power to bear in these situations to compel people to testify. In Washington, Doug Luzader, Fox News.
A former Russian spy and his daughter are in critical condition after a possible poisoning. British media outlets are naming Sergei Skripal as the spy. The 66-year-old was freed in a U.S.-Russian spy swap in 2010 after being convicted in 2006 of 13 years on charges of spying for Britain. The Kremlin said Russia has not been approached to help in the investigation and that they're ready to cooperate if requested. Well, big news out of North Korea. Following a rare meeting with South Korea, Kim Jong-un reportedly is now open to talks with the U.S. about ending their nuclear program. A Southern official says the rogue regime made it clear there is no need for nuclear weapons if military threats are resolved. A billionaire explorer just found a lost aircraft carrier that sunk during a World War II battle against the Japanese. The wreckage was discovered 500 miles off the Australian coast. One of the first U.S. aircraft carriers ever built, the vessel dubbed Lady Lex, was found 2 miles below the surface of the Coral Sea. The ship went down in May 1942 after a 4-day battle against 3 Japanese aircraft carriers. Today, Texas kicked off their midterm election season. The Lone Star State is the first in the nation to hold primaries. Early voting showed a record turnout for Democrats, who are for the first time in 25 years, are running in all of the state's 36 congressional districts. And after a 9-day strike, teachers in West Virginia are celebrating a victory tonight. Lawmakers in West Virginia voted unanimously to give all state employees a 5% raise. The goal of the deal was to end the teacher walkout. Shortly after the bill was passed, the governor signed it into law. The gold medal winning U.S. Olympic women's ice hockey team rang in the opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange this morning. Team USA brought home gold after a 6-round shootout, marking the first U.S. gold medal in women's hockey in 20 years. 2 of those team members are North Dakota's own Lemereau sisters. Well, Target employees are in for a little bit of boost. The retailer said it plans to raise starting hourly wages for its employees to $12 later this spring. This as it expects to reach $15 starting hourly wage by 2020. Target says it's seen a bigger pool of candidates applying since it announced starting hourly wage increases to $11 in September. Also on the business front, Lego sales have dropped for the first time in 13 years. The toy maker says annual sales fell 8% in 2017, ending a long streak of rapid growth powered by the success of its Star Wars products and the Lego movie. Lego says that sales were particularly weak in North America and Europe. And a 5-year-old girl survives a harrowing ski lift accident. She and her sisters were with an instructor learning to ski when she slid off the icy chairlift. The instructor caught her by the hood of her jacket while folks below scrambled to position a tarp to catch her. She suffered bruising around her neck and legs. Let's take a full check on our forecast now with meteorologist Henry Blakes.
Hey, after that storm, a lot of us woke up to a lot of snow.
A new study from the CDC shows emergency room visits from opioid overdoses are skyrocketing. The Midwest was the hardest hit, with an overall 70% increase in overdose treatment rates in the last 12 months. Speaking of opioids, a new study questions their long-term usefulness in managing chronic pain. Plus, the way we monitor type 2 diabetes could be in for some changes. All that in today's Health Minute.
Opioids don't beat other medications to treat chronic pain. A study in the Journal of the American Medical Association looked at 2 groups of patients with chronic pain. One group took opioids for relief, and the other one took non-opioid medications. After 12 months, the group who took opioids were not functioning any better than those who didn't take them. The opioid group also reported suffering more from medication-related side effects. Study authors say the findings show individualized treatment is needed for chronic pain sufferers. The American College of Physicians is easing up on their blood sugar control levels for type 2 diabetes. The doctors group says instead of aiming for a blood sugar level below 7%, physicians should shoot for keeping blood sugar levels between 7 and 8%. As research shows at this level, there were no fewer deaths or vascular complications. You can read all about it in the Annals of Internal Medicine. And finally, toxic residue from smoking remains on surfaces inside a casino for months after a smoking ban goes into effect. Researchers looked at a California casino that had a smoking ban in place for 11 months, finding while tobacco smoke residue, also known as third-hand smoke, dropped during that time, those levels were still higher than those in hotels or homes where smoking was not allowed in the first place.
Forbes magazine just released the list of richest people on Earth. Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg is at number 5 with $71 billion. And this year's number 1 spot goes to Amazon's Jeff Bezos at $112 billion. Henry, we are poor in money, but we are rich in snow.
Yes, we are, but luckily we'll be waking up to sunshine across the west in the morning, clouds across the central region.